All right, going on the road this week. Got to find a way to get a win, however we can do it. We dug ourselves a hole, got to dig our way out of it, and focus on going 1-0 this week, as we'll focus on all the rest of this season. So that's the task, that's the challenge, and got to put together a great Wednesday to get it started the right way. So take any questions you have. Yeah, we got to be more efficient. I obviously got to protect the football. It gets to 3rd and goal, we gotta punch it in somehow, some way. And then, 1st, 2nd down, it got to be multiple. It's got to be a mix of all, variety of offense and take advantage of what defenses are going to give us. You're not going to bat 1,000 down there, but we got to be as close to that as we can, because in this league, when you kick field goals, you kind of set yourself up for a tough 4th quarter. And if you're scoring touchdowns, you can make your 4th quarters a lot easier.
What do you think it's going to be like to see Adam Thielen before the game?
Yeah, the last time I played against him, I think, was 2017. Didn't go well for me. He had a big day. So, he's a great player. I was a beneficiary of that for many years, and I know that Carolina is excited to have him, and I think he's got a lot of good football left in him, and we got to contain him, and I'll always be pulling for him. But on Sunday, obviously, we'll have different interests for the first time in about 6 years. So.
Can you kind of help your transition here?
Yeah, our lockers were next to each other right over here when I first got here. He came down to Atlanta, where I was staying that off season after I signed, and we threw together, played golf, just got to know each other. So there was just a lot of time on task together, and he and Stephon Diggs really right away made my first year here, a lot easier than otherwise would have been, because just to how talented they were and how open they were for me, and Flip used them a ton, and he's just been so reliable all these years. So, great football player, and I would think he'll always, have an impact on this community. When he's done playing, he'll still be here and be someone who you'll hear his name, because he's just a person who'll be around and making a difference.
In those first throwing sessions to Adam, or first practices that first year, I guess, what stood out to you about what made him good?
Yeah, well, I remember Kevin Stefanski, because you think, Mankato State, undrafted, try hard. We always roll our eyes at those scouting reports on guys, and so I probably wouldn't have given him the credit that he deserved, because I would have been like everybody else who kind of judged the book by its cover, looking at his bio. And Kevin Stefanski was the one who said, "This guy's 4'4", this guy's a number 1, this guy can do it." And so from day one, I went in off of Kevin's breakdown saying, all right, I got to treat this guy like he was a first-round pick, and block out the fact that he played D2 ball and that he's kind of had to fight his way up here. So Kevin's breakdown really helped and proved to be true, because then when we went out and threw, and obviously Stephon Diggs has become a clear number 1 in this league and a Pro Bowler, and that was Adam. You could see they can go toe-to-toe with each other. So, we had 2 of those guys that obviously made for a lot of fun as a quarterback, and Adam's been doing it for so long. I think, again, I've said this, challenge this to Justin, the ability to do it for a long time. It really marks you as, I think, a great player. And Adam's done it for a long time. And I think that says just about everything there's to say about him.
Kirk, go ahead.
I guess sticking with the undrafted D2 theme, it's going to be CJ's 100th game. Can you just kind of talk to the, how rare it is to be able to do that with one team especially, and just what impact he's made here?
Yeah, so he's another person, just does everything right, very smart. He's just a gritty person, player. We can put him in a lot of different roles. And I think his versatility and putting a lot on him mentally, we can have him be the 3rd down back in protection. We can have him be a fullback on 1st, 2nd down. We can have him get us a yard in short yardage. We can have him run routes, run really the whole route tree. So not a lot of guys can that be said of them. And like you said, the ability to do it that long for one team at a position that people are trying to get rid of. But once you realize the person who's playing the position, you're not really trying to get rid of that position because of who the man is in that role. And I think he's got a lot more football ahead of him, too. I challenge him. I say, Tony Richardson, a former Viking, played 16 years at fullback. And that was back when they did two-a-days and everything. So I said, you're barely halfway there, bud. You got a long ways to go. So I fully expect him to have a Tony Richardson type career because that's the type of person he is.
The chemistry, it seemed like when Adam was here, speaking of it, you had with him in the red zone. What does it take to have that with a receiver when things get tight, spaces get small, and you kind of know that you have that guy that you can trust in that spot?
Yeah, I think Adam has always done a great job of separating with tight coverage, using his body to create space. And then I always have felt like coaches have done a great job with red zone concepts of creating reads for me where Adam was getting open, and I was throwing to the open guy, and it happened to be Adam. So I got to give coaches a lot of credit and give Adam a lot of credit for being open. And there were a few, one-handed catches down there and double moves and things that he made, that tight windows where, he's just being the great receiver that he is.
I think you had like 8 or 9 different receivers you threw to the other day. Is that important to you that you share the ball, or is that just all based on here's the progression, here's the reads, you're open, you get the ball, and you don't care?
Yeah, I would think at a high level you don't care because it's whatever you got to do to win the football game. You would like to think that spreading it around probably helps you win the football game and be more difficult to defend. But if there are games where it's much less than that and we are explosive on offense, so be it. I also think it's always a positive to get a lot of people involved and make them feel like they're a big part of this offense because they are. So, if we can be spreading it around, that's a positive, but not at the expense of being the best offense we can be.
How hard is it to watch tape when you know the result from last week, especially those last 2 possessions? How hard is it to sit down and go through that?
Man, I said to Alec when we did an interview this August, I hope my boys find something they're as passionate about it as I am about football, but I hope it doesn't torment them the way football torments me. I mean, I'm crawling in my skin driving home from the stadium on Sunday, in the last 2 days. So you got to get back up on the horse on Wednesday morning and come back to work. But golly, you're sitting there in meetings and you're just, you're just frustrated. And that's part of it because it matters to you and it should hurt. But I'm always reminded, in March, April, when you're saying we're going to go another time around the horn, you're signing up for some frustrations here and there and some moments that you wish you could have back. So that's where we are right now. And I'm thankful that we've been as explosive as an offense as we have been. There's a lot to build on, but got to put it all together. 4 quarters, all phases of football, red zone, third down, short yardage, first, second down, run game, pass game. That's no easy task.
Just throwing the ball as much as you have as an offense, is that what you guys want to be, or would you strive for more balance to get the running ball more?
Yeah, I think it might be series to series, week to week. I mean, we started the game with 5 straight runs that were all pretty effective, and I was loving it. I was the biggest cheerleader, like, let's go. So it can come and go as to what you're emphasizing, but we ended up with 50 pass attempts, and so you have that side of the coin too. I think I've been a guy who, we've won some games. I remember playing Washington on Thursday night in 2019. We finished the game with 16 straight runs. And nobody's more happy with that than I am. I think we were like 23 to 26. And it's like, that's fine. I can just be a little efficient and not have to carry the weight as much. And then there's other games where you throw it 50-plus times and you understand what you're signing up for. So I'm happy to be either quarterback. It's really week to week, season to season, game, whatever it requires. And I think the ability to be multiple is a good thing. I think it gives you versatility and you can, challenge and beat people in a variety of ways.
Talking about the game tormenting you, just how much better have you gotten at being able to move on and let that go by come Wednesday?
You have to ask my wife. She'd probably be able to tell you if I'm getting better. I'm trying, but I think it goes both ways, right? On one hand, you're further along in your football career, so you feel like you're getting better at it. On the other hand, you're further along in your football career, so you realize you're running out of time. And I think it's both sides of that. I think when you're younger, you maybe are a little more willing to shrug your shoulders and know there's more games up ahead. And I think when you're older, you're like, it's now. It's got to be now. And I was saying that last year too. Like, the Adam Thielens won't be here forever. Let's do it now. And so you feel that too. But this league will beat you up. It'll test you, and it takes grit, takes toughness, and that's another trait I want to see in my boys. So I gotta model it for them, on a daily, weekly basis.
With such a young roster, do you think you can help convey that to the developing players?
That was the message we said on the night before the game, going into the game, saying, hey, we lost a short game, but we play for the long game. And we got to have grit. There's going to be setback in the game, keep playing. So I think we all know that, and we're living it,
You got your skin was crawling and everything when you're driving home. What were you stuck on? What was the one thing that
bothered you the most?
Yeah, never any one thing. I think it was the throw to KJ on the first down in the last series of the game. I think it was, I'd have to go back and think about a few others, but it's just at a high level, 1 for 4 in the red zone. Whether it's a ball placement that was a foot off target, that you're good enough to put it right where it needs to be in a tight window, that ends up being incomplete, those kinds of things.
You got 2 0-3 football teams. Sometimes desperate teams press a little too hard. Sometimes they step up and play better. Where do you think this team is at, going into that 0-3 matchup?
Yeah, I think we're going to take the same mindset of trying to go 1-0 this week, play the game one play at a time, try to stay very much right in the present and not be thinking about the past, not be thinking about the future. Whatever the play call is for that first snap of the game, lock in on that. And then when that one's done, snap 2. And just kind of live in a very small world of right here, right now. And that really should never change, no matter what the record is. And then, on a Wednesday, it's kind of a similar approach of just maximizing this day, the reps we get, the prep we can do for practice, and go from there.
Do you believe that you and maybe Kevin O'Connell, that you have to assume that every player is watching your body language and everything you do because you're the leaders? Do you come in with that assumption that you have to set the tone, or can that be just too draining?
Yeah, no, you definitely want to convey confidence, but it's got to be natural. It can't be forced, and I still enjoy coming to work with these guys. They're fun to work with. So no matter what the record, there's a love for the people around you and what you get to do. It's a privilege. So you understand that, and it reflects in your attitude and your body language and your approach.
The red zone, are those the plays that make your skin crawl because of the importance of them, or is it how close they are to being completions and touchdowns?
I think red zone will always be critical in the outcome of a game. I think there's first and second down plays in midfield that can make my skin crawl too. So it's all the above. But certainly, when you have 4-point plays, we call them. Anytime you have a play down there where you end up kicking a field goal and you felt you should have had it and you didn't, that's a 4-point play. So those will always be weighty. Third downs or weighty downs. And then opportunities that you should hit, that you should make. You're never gonna play perfect. But whenever there's plays to be made, you expect to go make them. And we made a lot of plays. We're making a lot of plays. But when you have a high standard, there's always going to be a few more you wish you'd made. So, all right, thanks, guys. Yep.